Imagine West Philadelphia in the late 1960s, a place buzzing with the rhythms of life, the energy of dreams, and sometimes the weight of struggles. A young boy named Willard Carroll Smith Jr. was born into this world on September 25, 1968. With bright eyes that seemed to carry a spark of destiny, Will grew up in a family that was both nurturing and challenging. His mother, a school board administrator, instilled discipline and the value of education, while his father, a refrigeration engineer, brought intensity and high expectations, sometimes crossing into moments of tension that left deep impressions on Will's young mind. Life wasn't always easy, but it was rich with lessons that would shape the man he was destined to become. Even as a kid, Will had a charisma that could light up a room. He was a dreamer, a performer, and someone who refused to shrink in the face of adversity. School hallways became his stage. He rapped, he joked, he laughed, his energy infectious. Yet, beneath the charm, there was the reality of growing up in a neighborhood that demanded toughness, resilience, and an understanding that life could hit hard when least expected. We learned early on that success wasn't handed to anyone. It had to be fought for, step by step, often against the odds. By the time he was a teenager, Will had discovered a love for music, particularly rap. He formed the duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince with his friend Jeff Towns. It wasn't just music, it was a lifeline, a way to escape, a platform to tell stories of real life, humor, and ambition. Their early performances were raw, but full of promise. Rejection came too, like missed gigs and the skepticism of an industry that didn't know what to do with a kid from Philadelphia. But Will's drive was relentless. He had a vision of himself not just as a performer, but as someone who could make the world feel his presence, feel his energy. At this point, Will faced his first true crossroads. The music was gaining traction, yet the pressure to succeed, the fear of failure, and the challenge of staying true to himself created moments of doubt. Yet, even then, he carried a mantra that would echo throughout his life. Failure was never permanent, and every setback was a setup for a bigger comeback. Little did anyone know, the boy who could command attention with a smile and a rhyme was just stepping onto the first stage of a journey that would take him from the streets of Philadelphia to the glittering lights of Hollywood, from music to the silver screen. The music was thriving, the accolades were coming, and yet Will Smith felt a restlessness he couldn't ignore. He loved the beats, the rhymes, the laughter, but there was another stage calling him, a bigger one with brighter lights. Hollywood. Transitioning from a rapper to an actor wasn't simple. In fact, it was terrifying. The Fresh Prince persona, funny, charming, magnetic, was his armor. But behind the scenes, auditions were brutal. Doors slammed in his face. Casting directors shook their heads, and every no threatened to crush his confidence. Yet, Will had learned from the streets and the stage. Rejection wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a story you hadn't written yet. He immersed himself in acting classes, studied scripts obsessively, and practiced expressions in front of mirrors until every gesture felt natural, until his charisma became an unshakable force. He remembered something his mother once told him: if you want to shine, you can't be afraid to outwork everyone else. Those words became his creed. Then came a moment that would define the next chapter of his life. The audition for a little TV show called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It wasn't just a show. It was a lifeline, a chance to transform his career and reshape his identity. Will brought authenticity to the role, blending humor with heart, charisma with vulnerability. The pilot aired in 1990, and America noticed. The audience didn't just see a rapper on TV, they saw Will Smith, the boy from Philadelphia, navigating life with charm, wit, and resilience. Ratings soared, and suddenly, Will was no longer just a musician, he was a cultural phenomenon. But the journey wasn't without its pitfalls. Fame came fast, and with it, the pressures of public scrutiny, long hours, and the expectation to constantly reinvent himself. There were moments of loneliness, moments of doubt, nights staring at the ceiling wondering if he was enough. Yet, through it all, he leaned on his work ethic, his sense of humor, and his belief that every challenge was shaping him for something bigger. This period marked the bridge between a promising artist and a rising Hollywood star. It wasn't the peak yet, it was the proving ground. Every laugh, every scene, every small victory was a building block, a step toward the larger-than-life journey that awaited him. Will Smith was learning that success wasn't just talent, it was persistence, adaptability, and an unwavering belief in oneself. The leap into the big league. By the mid-1990s, Will Smith had conquered television, but he knew in his heart that his journey was far from complete. The world of Hollywood films beckoned a universe of bigger stages, higher stakes, and an entirely new level of scrutiny. Transitioning from a beloved TV star to a serious movie actor was a gamble. Some said he couldn't do it. Some whispered that a rapper-turned-TV star would never be taken seriously on the silver screen. But Will had never been one to let doubt define him. He started small, choosing projects that challenged him, that stretched him beyond the Fresh Prince persona. 6 Degrees of Separation gave him a taste of serious acting. And though the box office wasn't spectacular, critics began to notice a depth in Will that went beyond charm. It was a slow burn, painful, frustrating, and humbling. There were moments when he questioned if the leap from television fame to cinematic respectability was too vast. Would audiences accept him as more than a funny, charismatic teen hero? Then came the role that would change everything. Independence Day, stepping onto a blockbuster set, surrounded by stars and special effects on a scale he had never experienced. Will felt both awe and terror, but his preparation, his discipline, and his willingness to embrace every challenge carried him through. The film exploded at the box office, proving that Will Smith could lead a major Hollywood film. And just when the world thought he was unstoppable, he doubled down, taking the lead in Men in Black. Here, Will didn't just act, he became a phenomenon. His timing, his humor, his unique energy made the film unforgettable. Critics praised him, audiences adored him, and Hollywood began to take notice in a new way. This was a star who could dominate globally, yet remain relatable, grounded, and human. But behind the dazzling premieres and massive paychecks were personal sacrifices, long shoots, relentless schedules, and the constant pressure to remain at the top. It was a time of triumph mixed with tension. Fame brought wealth, influence, and opportunities, but it also tested relationships, family bonds, and inner resilience. Will learned that success in Hollywood was not just about talent. It was about stamina, choice, and the courage to leap when the world doubts you most. And as he stood on that precipice, looking at the horizon of possibility, he knew this was only the beginning. The world had seen his charm. Now, it would witness his evolution into a global icon, rising to iconic stardom. The late 1990s and early 2000s marked a turning point in Will Smith's life a period where hard work, talent, and persistence collided to create true Hollywood stardom. With hits like Men in Black, Enemy of the State, and Ollie, Will wasn't just a box office draw. He was becoming a symbol of versatility, charisma, and ambition. Every role was a new challenge, a chance to break boundaries, and he embraced each one with a rare combination of fearlessness and meticulous preparation. Behind the cameras, the grind was relentless. Days often stretched beyond 16 hours. With physical training, script rehearsals, and promotional tours stacking up, but Will thrived on the intensity. He approached every character with dedication, whether transforming his body to play Muhammad Ali, mastering accents, or capturing the subtle vulnerability in a dramatic scene. Critics began to see him as more than a leading man. He was an artist, someone who could embody humor, depth, and emotion all at once. Yet, fame wasn't just a series of red carpets and awards. It came with scrutiny, pressures, and moments of personal reflection. Will often spoke about the challenge of staying grounded, of keeping family close amidst the whirlwind of Hollywood. He leaned heavily on his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and his children, finding both solace and motivation in their support. The cameras might capture the glitz and glamour, but the real story was about balancing ambition with humanity, about ensuring the man behind the star never got lost. His impact went beyond acting. Will Smith became an innovator in bridging music and film, proving that a global entertainer could excel across mediums. His charisma and energy inspired millions, and he used his platform to encourage positivity, discipline, and self-belief. Interviews, social media, and speeches showcased not just his superstar, but a mentor, a father, a human who understood that influence was a responsibility, not just a privilege. During this peak, Will experienced moments of doubt, setbacks, and criticism. Yet each challenge reinforced a lesson he had learned long ago. Resilience isn't optional, it's essential. Every role, every performance, every decision was a step in a larger journey. A journey that showed the world what happens when talent meets determination, vision, and an unwavering belief in one's own potential. By this time, Will Smith was no longer just a star, he was an icon, a living example of how perseverance, heart, and relentless effort can transform a life from ordinary to legendary. Behind the spotlight, for all the glitz, fame, and blockbuster success, Will Smith's life has always had a human side, complex, vulnerable, and deeply relatable. Behind the cameras, away from the screaming fans and flashing lights, he faced struggles that no script could predict. Balancing a demanding career with family life was never easy. Will often spoke about the constant effort it took to be a present husband to Jada and a loving father to Jaden and Willow. Fame didn't erase fear or uncertainty, it amplified them. There were moments of personal struggle, moments where the pressure to succeed collided with the desire to be genuine and grounded. The public rarely saw the internal battles, the late-night reflections, or the doubts that crept in when a project flopped or a performance fell short. Yet, Will approached these challenges with the same energy he brought to his craft, with discipline, introspection, and an unshakable belief that growth often comes from discomfort. He learned that vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was a bridge to connection, to authenticity, to inspiring others. Will's family has always been his anchor. Through interviews, social media, and candid moments, he shared how love, trust and honest communication shaped his life. His relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith, though scrutinized and often questioned by the public, demonstrated resilience, partnership, and the willingness to evolve together. His guidance to his children emphasized self-belief, discipline, and courage, the same principles that had guided him from the streets of Philadelphia to global superstardom. Beyond family, Will's human side revealed itself in his interactions with fans and colleagues. Stories abound of him encouraging struggling actors, sharing wisdom with newcomers, and maintaining humility despite unimaginable success. It's a reminder that greatness isn't measured just by wealth or fame, but by empathy, generosity, and the ability to lift others while climbing higher oneself. Even in his lowest moments, Will never lost sight of the larger picture. He turned setbacks into lessons, criticism into fuel, and doubt into determination. His life became a masterclass in perseverance, showing that every challenge, no matter how personal or professional, can become a stepping stone toward purpose. Will Smith's journey isn't just about Hollywood success. It's about growth, authenticity, and the courage to embrace life fully, flaws and all. And in this truth, he inspires millions that behind every smile, every award, and every triumph is a human being who fought, stumbled, learned, and rose again. Beyond fame, the legacy in motion. Will Smith's journey isn't just measured in box office numbers or awards. It's defined by the impact he's had on culture, inspiration, and innovation. As the 2000s progressed, Will transformed from a Hollywood superstar into a global icon, a symbol of possibility, creativity, and relentless ambition. He wasn't content to just act. He wanted to leave a mark, to push boundaries, and to redefine what it meant to be an entertainer in the modern world. He embraced social media long before many of his peers, using it to connect with fans, share insights, and motivate millions with candid stories of struggle, perseverance, and growth. Will's YouTube and Instagram presence became a masterclass in authenticity, mixing humor, wisdom, and a raw openness rarely seen from someone of his stature. Through this, he taught the world that influence is responsibility. Every post, every video, every message could inspire someone to push harder, dream bigger, or simply believe in themselves. In cinema, Will continued breaking barriers. From The Pursuit of Happiness to Aladdin, he demonstrated an uncanny ability to blend charisma with heart, to make characters relatable while carrying a larger-than-life presence. His performances weren't just entertainment, they were lessons in resilience, dedication, and the power of self-belief. And behind the scenes, he became known as a mentor, encouraging young actors, offering guidance, and proving that true success is measured not just by personal gain but by lifting others along the way. Philanthropy and contribution also became central to his journey. Will invested in education initiatives, youth programs, and projects designed to provide opportunities for those growing up with fewer resources than he once had. He never forgot the boy from West Philadelphia, the streets that taught him toughness, humor, and ambition. That empathy became a driving force behind his work, reminding the world that impact isn't only measured in fame, it's measured in legacy, influence, and positive change. Perhaps most importantly, Will Smith's story is a testament to human potential. From setbacks to triumphs, from doubt to determination, he embodies the principle that has guided his entire life. Life will challenge you, but your response defines your destiny. His journey teaches us that with discipline, courage, and authenticity. Any obstacle can become an opportunity, any failure a stepping stone, and any dream a reality waiting to be claimed. Reinvention and reflection. As the years passed, Will Smith proved that true greatness isn't just about reaching the peak, it's about evolving. Once you're there, Hollywood had crowned him a superstar. The world knew his face, his charisma, his energy, but will never stop searching for new challenges, new ways to grow, and new ways to inspire. Reinvention became his mantra, and he approached it with the same determination that had carried him from Philadelphia streets to global stardom. Even in his 40s and 50s, Will refused to be boxed into a single role or genre. He explored action, comedy, drama, and family entertainment, continuously pushing the boundaries of his craft. But beyond the camera, he sought deeper meaning. Interviews, social media reflections, and public talks revealed a man unafraid to share his vulnerabilities, his fears, and his personal growth journey. Will's openness about mental health, relationships, and personal challenges created a connection with audiences far beyond cinematic appeal. He became a guide for millions navigating their own lives. Will's personal philosophy began to shine brighter than ever. He emphasized that success isn't measured solely in fame or fortune, but in contribution, self-awareness, and the courage to confront your own flaws. The lessons he shared: embracing failure, staying disciplined, loving fiercely, and prioritizing authenticity, weren't just motivational slogans. They were lived experiences, reflections of a man who had stumbled, risen, and learned from every misstep along the way. In recent years, Will also embraced entrepreneurial ventures, innovative projects, and collaborations that expanded his influence beyond Hollywood. From producing content that inspires to investing in groundbreaking technologies, he demonstrated that creativity and curiosity are lifelong pursuits. His story shows that even at the height of success, one must remain a student of life, always seeking knowledge, connection, and purpose. Amid all this, family remained the anchor. Will's bond with Jada and his children exemplifies the human side of fame, the delicate balance between personal fulfillment and public life. Through triumphs, controversies, and reinventions, he remained committed to love, growth, and legacy. His journey reminds us that the measure of a life isn't just what you achieve, but who you become, how you love, and how you lift others along the way. Will Smith's story is far from finished, but the message is clear. Life is a series of stages, and every challenge, every reinvention, and every choice shapes the legacy you leave behind. His life is a testament that no matter where you start, with discipline, heart, and vision, you can continuously rise, transform, and inspire. The global impact of a dreamer. Will Smith's journey isn't confined to the borders of Hollywood. It's a story that resonates across the world. From the boy who grew up in West Philadelphia to a figure recognized on every continent, Will's life demonstrates the power of ambition, resilience, and authenticity. His influence stretches beyond the silver screen. It touches music, digital media, philanthropy, and the hearts of millions who see a reflection of their own dreams in his story. He became a symbol of versatility. Few entertainers have managed to balance blockbuster films, chart-topping music, and meaningful social engagement with such ease. The Pursuit of Happiness wasn't just a movie, it was a global lesson in perseverance and faith in oneself. Millions were inspired by the story of a man facing unimaginable odds, just as Will had faced his own struggles long before the cameras rolled. His performances consistently carried a universal message. Setbacks are temporary, hope is essential, and relentless effort yields transformation. Will's impact on culture is undeniable. He redefined what it means to be a leading man, breaking racial stereotypes, blending charisma with vulnerability, and showing that humor and heart can coexist in a hero. Fans of all ages relate to his energy, his laughter, and his ability to turn adversity into opportunity. And off-screen, he leveraged that influence to educate, motivate, and uplift. His social media presence became a classroom for millions, filled with insights about discipline, creativity, and self-belief. Even more remarkable is his ability to stay human amid global fame. Will has shared openly about his struggles with failure, doubt, and personal growth. In doing so, he dismantled the illusion that success equals perfection. Instead, he illustrated that resilience, adaptability, and emotional honesty are true markers of greatness. Fans don't just admire him, they learn from him, seeing that the journey itself holds as much value as the destination. Will Smith's story is now a blueprint for aspiring dreamers everywhere. It demonstrates that no matter where you start, no matter how many obstacles appear, consistent effort, courage, and authenticity can carve a path to extraordinary achievement. From music stages to Hollywood premieres to inspiring digital platforms, Will continues to show the world that life is not about avoiding challenges, it's about embracing them, learning from them, and using them to fuel your rise. Through it all, Will Smith teaches the most profound lesson of all. Greatness isn't simply achieved, it's lived, shared, and passed on through the inspiration you give to others. Lessons from a life lived boldly. Will Smith's journey has never been about following a script written by someone else. It has always been about writing his own. From a young boy in West Philadelphia to a global icon, his life has been a masterclass in perseverance, risk-taking, and the pursuit of authenticity. Every choice he made, every challenge he faced, was a brushstroke in the portrait of a man determined to live boldly and inspire others to do the same. What sets Will apart is his willingness to embrace failure as part of growth. He has often spoken about moments when opportunities slipped through his fingers, when projects flopped, or when criticism cut deep. But instead of letting these moments define him, he transformed them into lessons. You don't try to be successful, you try to be valuable, he once said, capturing the essence of a philosophy that shaped his career and personal life. Success, for Will, wasn't just fame or money, it was the impact he could create, the people he could uplift, and the legacy he could leave behind. His family has remained central to this journey. The love, support, and guidance of Jada and his children have been both a refuge and a compass. Will has shown that even amid enormous fame and relentless work, nurturing relationships and fostering connection is essential. He reminds us that personal success loses its meaning if it comes at the expense of human bonds, empathy, and integrity. Will's story also teaches the importance of adaptability. He continually reinvented himself: music, television, film, digital platforms, entrepreneurship, without losing sight of who he was. He proved that true greatness requires evolution, staying curious, embracing change, and daring to step into unfamiliar territory. Every reinvention, every pivot, every new endeavor reinforced a single truth. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Ultimately, Will Smith's life is a living blueprint for resilience, creativity, and hope. He exemplifies that the path to greatness is rarely linear, that setbacks are inevitable, and that the power to define your life lies in your hands. By choosing to embrace life fully with energy, humility, and relentless determination, Will inspires millions to believe that they, too, can rise above challenges, pursue their dreams fearlessly, and leave a meaningful mark on the world. In the story of Will Smith, we don't just see a Hollywood legend, we see a man who dared to dream, to stumble, to grow, and to shine. His journey is a reminder that every life holds the potential for extraordinary impact, if only we have the courage to live it boldly. The legacy of a dream chaser. Will Smith's journey comes full circle, and the story that began in the streets of West Philadelphia now echoes across the globe. From a young boy with dreams bigger than his surroundings, to a rapper, TV star, Hollywood icon, and inspirational figure, Will's life illustrates the power of persistence, vision, and unwavering self-belief. Every chapter, every setback, and every triumph has contributed to a legacy that is both extraordinary and deeply human. What makes Will's story resonate is not just the fame or fortune, but the lessons embedded in every choice he made. He teaches us that setbacks are not failures, they are opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. The boy who faced doubt, rejection, and criticism transformed those obstacles into fuel, building a career that spans music, television, film, and global influence. Will embodies the truth that resilience, discipline, and authenticity are the pillars of lasting success. Beyond his professional achievements, Will Smith's life is a study in human connection. His devotion to family, the love he shares with Joda, and the guidance he gives to his children remind us that no accomplishment is complete without grounding relationships and empathy. Fame and fortune can open doors, but they cannot replace the value of trust, love, and personal integrity. Will's journey emphasizes that true impact is measured not just by what you achieve, but by how you lift others along the way. His influence extends to inspiring millions worldwide, not just as a performer, but as a thinker, mentor, and motivator. Through interviews, speeches, and social media, he shares insights on discipline, courage, and the importance of dreaming big while staying grounded. Will demonstrates that success isn't about perfection, it's about embracing your flaws, learning from failures, and relentlessly pursuing growth. As we reflect on his life, one clear message emerges: greatness is not reserved for a